Hello everyone, welcome back, and sorry I haven't posted in a while. Of course, it's international break right now, and I feel like a lot of the stories that you see during this time aren't very real. I feel like they don't have that much truth to them, so I didn't really want to bring a YouTube video if there wasn't much truth behind any of the reports that are going on. So I just wanted to wait until I had really something to talk about. So today I wanted to talk about what are the potential coaches that are going to possibly be coaching Barcelona in the summer, and there have been some new reports that Xavi, he's thinking about staying, and maybe Laporta wants Xavi to stay, and he's not really looking for a candidate until Xavi officially departs Barcelona, so I just wanted to talk about the coaching situation in this video. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was the possibility that Xavi is going to remain at Barcelona for one more season, and he wouldn't be leaving the coaching job at Barcelona this summer, which he, of course, announced a couple months ago that he was no longer going to be the coach of Barcelona, and no matter what happened at the end of this year, he was going to be leaving. And he has repeatedly said his mind is not going to change no matter how Barcelona do in the Champions League. Doesn't really matter how far Barcelona go in the competition. He wants to leave in the summer, and I still think that remains true. But Laporta, in a couple interviews, he said that he wants Xavi to continue being the coach of Barcelona next season, and he's not really looking for other options until Xavi officially announces his departure, and he finally leaves. And for me, I think that's poor planning on Laporta's part, and I just think Xavi, he wants to go, and I think Barcelona is probably the right idea to bring someone else new in the summer. And obviously for Xavi, he's had a pretty difficult year. I think there have been a lot of issues with the squad of players not performing to the best of their abilities, and also the squad never being fully healthy for Xavi, and so I am going to cut him some slack for that, but still, given the squad that you have, of course Barcelona, you expect them to be playing so much better, and in the past couple weeks, the last month I would say, Barcelona, they have stepped it up a notch, and this is more of what you would expect given the squad that Barcelona have. And for Xavi, during his time at Barcelona, I think a lot of people don't appreciate how well he has done because he came in with not that much experience, and all he wanted to do was succeed at the club of his life, and I think he did succeed. I think he won Barcelona 2 trophies last season, and given the financial situation that he has to navigate right now, I think he's done a really great job. And there have been so many positives. You look at the squad that Xavi got when he first was appointed, and that squad was terrible. I'll put a picture on the screen if I have one. I mean, that is so bad. And Ronald Koeman had Barcelona in 9th place, and Xavi, he came in, he made an instant impact, not with just his tactics, but also just how good his man management is, because Ronald Koeman, he would throw every single player under the bus, but Xavi, the day that he arrived at Barcelona, he told all the players, you know, I will fight for you in all the press conferences. I will take all the blame. And that's exactly what he did when he announced his departure, because it wasn't just his fault. Barcelona's entire team, they have been so underwhelming this season, and he took all the blame. And I think of players like Lamine Yamal, Alejandro Balde, Fermin Lopez, Cubarsí. These are players that Xavi has really integrated into the first team very well, and I think he's brought the feeling back that Barcelona wants to rely on La Masia. Obviously, you know, players like Xavi, they were already in the first team when Xavi arrived, but he's nurtured them, and I think he's brought that connection from La Masia to the first team back. So Xavi has done a lot of positive for Barcelona, but I also think in the last 6 months, we just can't forget the form that Barcelona have been in. And again, the squad that they have, they're more than capable of competing for all trophies this year, but that really hasn't been the case. And right now, they're still in the Champions League, and that was a great result from Napoli, but it just took them too long to wake up this season, and really, they hurt themselves from the beginning, and that's the reason that they're not really in the running for La Liga this season. And I just think some of the in-game management from Xavi and the lineups that he's put out, I think it does show the experience that he lacks, and that's not something that's really Xavi's fault, because he didn't retire that long ago. He had one coaching job, and then he came to Barcelona, and that was the risk that Barcelona had. And of course, I think it did pay off. I think Xavi, he has made a positive impact at Barcelona, but like he said, maybe he took Barcelona as far as he could take them at this current time in his coaching career. And I also think sometimes this season, he's just been too slow to react to some things. And I think the biggest example to me would be Christensen moving into the defensive midfield role, because I think a lot of fans, you know, we had seen that a couple months before that, before he tried Christensen as a defensive midfielder, that might be the best option in the squad. And yet he waited so long to try it, and I think Barcelona, they just wasted the first half of the season with a midfield of Pedri, Frankie de Jong, and Gundogan, that it looks great on paper, but it was obvious that it just lacked a defensive midfielder. It lacked some stability in the midfield, and that's what Christensen has brought in the past couple games. And I think in the 8 games that he has played as a defensive midfielder, Barcelona's form has gotten so much better. For us fans that are on the outside, obviously we don't see the day-to-day stuff, so maybe it is a little bit easier for us to, you know, just make decisions without knowing all the people in the squad. But I was pretty sure that Christensen, as a defensive midfielder, it was a good option to try. You never knew if it was going to work, but it was worth the effort to try and change the way that Barcelona were playing. And it so far has worked, and Barcelona, they do look a lot better. So for me, it's a little bit frustrating that it took that long to figure out, because for me it seems so obvious for the few months before Christensen was moved into that position eventually. And the form in the last few weeks, it's been good, and that result against Napoli, that was a big boost to Barcelona's confidence, and this is what we expect more with the squad that Barcelona has. And I just think this season as a whole, obviously it hasn't gone to plan, but it's nice to see some progress and to see the players, showing more energy and more fight since Xavi announced his departure. And so let's say hypothetically Xavi, he decides to change his mind. He would stay in the summer. Would I think it's the worst decision for Barcelona? No, I don't mind Xavi staying at Barcelona for one more year, and then maybe, the options for a new coach 1 year from now would be better. Maybe coaches like Jurgen Klopp would be available on the market for Barcelona, or maybe someone like Julian Nagelsmann would be more available because the Euros would be over. Some stuff like that I would understand if Xavi stays for one more year at Barcelona. And I could have misinterpreted what Laporta said, and some of the things maybe don't have that much truth to what he's saying. But how I read it, it seemed like he's not going to sign another coach until Xavi is officially gone from Barcelona's first team. And for me, I just think that's waiting too long, because you should already be making moves in the transfer market. You should already be planning out the next coach, because Xavi, and everyone has seen so far that he's made it very clear he doesn't want to be the coach of Barcelona next season. It's too much stress. It's, just very toxic environment to be in with all the media, the Spanish media. I just think Xavi wants out, and Laporta, he has to be reactive towards that and plan for a new coach in the summer. And I think now is the right time for Barcelona to move on from Xavi, to find someone new to lead the team next year. And that's nothing against Xavi, and of course the door will always be open for Xavi to coach at some level at Barcelona, whether it's youth level, whether it's in Barcelona's first team, at some later point in his coaching career. Maybe he goes to another team and gets more experience and then does very well there, and then maybe it's the right time to bring him back to Barcelona. But I just think next year, Barcelona, they should be having a new coach in that position. But as I said, if the plan is for Xavi to stay for one more year, and then maybe someone like Jurgen Klopp or Julian Nagelsmann would be available for Barcelona, then yes, I would understand Xavi staying for one more year. Maybe the coaching options would look better in another year, but I think Barcelona, they should be planning next season with a new coach if everything works out. If Barcelona doesn't find an ideal candidate, of course, I don't want them to sign some bum. I would rather Xavi stay for one more year, and then the coaching options would be better. But still, I think they should be planning without Xavi next season. And we've heard names like Hansi Flick and Thomas Tuchel, but for me, the coach that I would be most excited for to be joining Barcelona in the summer would be Julian Nagelsmann, who's currently the coach of the German national team. He had a great result against France yesterday in a friendly 2-0, and a very good performance from Germany, and I just think he's a great coach, and I think he would fit in very well at Barcelona. He has a lot of exciting ideas, and that would be the coach I would be happiest with Barcelona signing. And he has said that he wants to have his future decided before the Euros. He doesn't want to wait until afterwards, and then, the German national team, they might say, depending on how well the Euros go, maybe they want to move forward with someone else, or maybe they want to re-sign him. He wants to have that decision made before the Euros begin. Sometimes it's hard to read between the lines of comments. Maybe he's saying he wants to renew with Germany, and he just wants to be extended with the German national team so he can prepare for the World Cup in 2026. But maybe he's saying he wants to find a new club after the Euros, and that he would already want his decision to be made before the Euros, because after the Euros, I think a lot of clubs that are looking for new coaches in the summer, they'd probably already have signed someone. And I would also say a huge plus is that he already coaches Florian Wirtz and Jamal Musiala. If one of those two end up at Barcelona, I would be so happy. For me, Florian Wirtz is one of the most exciting players to watch, one of the most enjoyable players in the world to watch for me, and he had such a good performance against France, and Barcelona, they have to make it a priority to try and sign him at some point in the future. For Nagelsmann, I think he has a lot of very exciting ideas. I know we all heard about him when he entered the coaching scene at 28, 29 years old in the Bundesliga, and so far he's just continued to grow and learn in his career. He had a spell at Bayern Munich, and he got sacked, which I think was pretty unfair to him because I think he was doing pretty impressive. He was on track for a treble. He was still in all three competitions, and they fired him. I think that was pretty unfair, and for me, I think that spell at Bayern, it does show that he's able to coach a top team. And I think he's had impressive performances and great results, and I think about that game against France, and he beat France 2-0 with Mbappe, the best player in Europe, and he had Kimmich at right back, and I think the team overall, the setup was very good, and I think they looked like a great team, and to control France like that and to score 2 goals against them, very impressive for me, and every single time I've watched one of his teams play, I've been very impressed with how they play. And there have been some Barcelona fans that want Jose Mourinho to coach Barcelona, and I would very much disagree with that because I just think Barcelona, the team as a whole, is in the direction that the club is going. I want them to be producing exciting results and a fun way of playing. And for me, Julian Nagelsmann, I think he would be able to do that, and I think he would potentially mark a new era for Barcelona, and for me, that's the coach that I would be most excited about. And if Nagelsmann is available and he's open to joining a club after the Euros, Barcelona, they have to be all over that. There is no excuse for them not to be trying 100% to try and sign Nagelsmann in the summer, and that's, for me, that's the first choice. I think if Barcelona, they have all of these options available, I think they should be going for Nagelsmann, but of course, if the German national team want him to coach after the Euros and they give him a new contract, I would understand him signing that contract and, staying until the World Cup in 2026, but I think Barcelona, if he's available, they have to be trying to sign him 100%. And another candidate that I'm really excited about, but I'll be honest, I don't think he has a very big chance to joining Barcelona at all in the summer, is Thiago Motta, because I think he's a really exciting coach, and he's doing very well with Bologna right now, and a lot of people talk about how good Xavi Alonso is doing, and of course, he deserves so much credit. I think he's in a league of his own in terms of new coaches. He's done so well with that Leverkusen team, but Bologna under Thiago Motta has done very well also, and I just think he's one of those coaches that I think has a bright future in the sport. And a lot of people worry that it's a similar problem to Xavi, that he was a very intelligent player, and he has some exciting ideas, but then he maybe lacks the experience to join a top club like Barcelona, and 100% I completely understand that, but I do think it's a coach that Barcelona, they should be keeping an eye on for the next couple years. And he does lack experience, and like I said, it would have some risk, but I really would be excited if Barcelona do look into signing Thiago Motta at some point in his coaching career. Obviously, we'll have to see how he progresses. I'm not sure if he's going to stay at Bologna after this season, and we'll see how it goes. But I think he has a very bright future in this sport, and being an ex-player of Barcelona, I think that's someone that Barcelona should be keeping an eye on. And there are a lot of names on the table right now: De Zerbi, Hansi Flick, Thomas Tuchel. And really, I'm not 100% on any coach, but for me, the coach that I'd be most excited for would be Julian Nagelsmann. And, his future is undecided, and I think Barcelona, they should 100% be pushing to sign him. And they should throw him this project and see how he reacts. And maybe after the Euros, he would want to join Barcelona. And of course, there are a lot of reports about Xavi staying beyond this year, and I would understand if Barcelona don't have an ideal candidate, and Xavi, he does get that desire to stay at Barcelona after this season, because right now I don't think he has it. I think he's excited for the summer to finally be relieved, that weight off his shoulder of coaching Barcelona and dealing with all the stress and all the pressure from the media, and all the blame goes on him every single time, no matter if it's his fault or not. I think he's ready to be out. And the last thing you want to do if you're Laporta is force him to stay in the summer, and then the same exact thing happens next season, and he's even less passionate about it because he really wanted to leave this summer, and then you're stuck with an entire new problem in mid-season. I mean, that's a terrible idea. So, Laporta, I'm going to be asking serious questions if he's not at least looking for other coaches in the summer, because he should 100% be planning for Xavi's departure in the summer. And anyways, I'm going to try and get back to posting very frequently. I just, international break, it's difficult to make videos because a lot of the reports that we're seeing are just bogus. Honestly, a lot of them don't really make that much sense, and it actually has been pretty light this international break, but I feel like most times the reports and the rumors are just so wild, and it just doesn't really add any value because it doesn't seem very likely to happen. And as always, thank you very much for watching my videos. I really do appreciate all the likes and the comments. It really does mean a lot, and I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend, and I hope you have a good week.